So hello everyone, welcome to CA FINAL IDT Pre-Regular batch. In this batch, we are going to cover entire IDT with question answer with MCQ, right? And this is a fully amended batch, right? And this is a demo lecture for the GST. For English classes, it will start from the 1st June. It will start from the 1st June. That will be fully amended in advance for the November 24 exam. And this is the demo lecture. In reality, it is a lecture of our fast track batch, but the classes will be regular class that actually start from the 1st June. You can watch this lecture as a demo lecture, how we teach in the class. Okay, you can watch this lecture as a demo lecture. Now you only need to buy the books. The classes are regular batch with question answer are totally free. To join this batch, you have to download the Magic Wala app from the Play Store, and you have to pay the ₹1 only. Right? If you want to play the classes in the laptop plus app in both, in laptop and in app both, then you have to pay the 99 rupees. And this is the DRM cost. DRM cost means nobody can record and misuse our lecture in the laptop because of this protection. So it's protection cost, not for the classes. Right? Now, our magic book, there is a IDT magic book that cover the entire IDT only in the 250 pages. Okay, with many techniques, it has a important topic list, 3 revision plans, and our magic question bank cover the entire question of the ICI, study mat question, RTP question, MTP question, past exam question, with the important question list also. And our MCQ cover the all the MCQ summary. I say all MCQs, all the limit based summary. Okay, to know more about the books and the classes, must watch the video that is given in the description of this video and the comment section also. I have pinned that video in the comment section. Must watch that video before joining this course. All about the books and all about the free classes. Right? I have pinned it in the comment section also that video link. Okay. Now you can watch this lecture as a demo. Reverse charge mechanism. Okay. See here, basis of charge is the taxable event. Okay, so what is taxable event under GST? That is supply. Okay, so if you made a supply, then charge create on you. You have to pay GST to government. Okay, so GST extend to whole of India. Right? Now, some important terms. What do you mean by India? For the purpose of GST, let's understand this with animation. Okay, so our states and our UTs, its boundaries are India and UTs. Our states and UTs and its boundaries are India. This is India. We know that. Let's talk about water. So under water, that 12 nautical miles, we call it territorial water. This is India, and below this, seabed and subsoil, this is India. After that, contiguous zone, 24 nautical mile, this is India. Then continental shelf, this is India. And exclusive economic zone up to 200 nautical mile, this is India. So up to this is our India. Okay, if we talk about sea. Now, for the air purpose, that our state, our UTs, above its sky is India, and above 12 nautical mile sky is India. But after that, this is not India. Okay, now let's read this definition from the smart book. So territory of India means our state and our UTs, defined in the article 1 of the Constitution is India. We know that. For water purpose is 12 nautical mile, territorial water, seabed, subsoil, continental shelf, EEZ, exclusive economic zone, and other maritime zone up to 200 nautical miles. This is India. For air purpose, the air space above is territory, above state and above UTs, and above the territorial water means 12 nautical miles. After that, it is not India. We also call it taxable territory. This is taxable territory under GST. Other than this is non-taxable territory. Is it clear? Right. See here. The next is definition of the intra and the interstate supply. Let's understand this with animation. See here. If the supplier means location of supplier and the place of supply in the same state or same UT, in the same state or same UT, then we call it intrastate supply. Then we call it intrastate supply. Right. Supplier means location of supplier and the place of supply in the same state. Okay. This is intrastate. If supplier in one state and its place of supply in second state, or supplier in one UT and that POS in second state, or supplier in one state and POS in another UT, then we call it interstate supply. Right? Then we call it interstate supply. Now see here. Means under same state or same UT. Then we call it intrastate. If LOS, location of supplier, and the POS in same state or same UT. If LOS and POS in between two different state, in between two different UTs and between one state and one UT, we call it interstate supply under GST. We know that. The next is levy. Levy and the collection of the GST. Section number 9 of CGST Act and section number 5 of IGST Act. 9.1. But it says normal levy. Means it creates charge if you made a supply. Now 9.2 says GST on the 5 petroleum product. GST on the 5 petroleum product to be levied from the date notified by the GST Council. We know that. We have studied it, chapter number 1. Now 9.3 and 9.4 for the purpose of RCM. So 9.3 RCM on the notified goods, services and both. And 9.4 RCM on the supplies by the unregistered person. Right? So what is difference between the 9.3 and 9.4 RCM? Under 9.3, whether that supplier is registered or not, the tax will be paid under RCM by the recipient. Those are defined here. Those are defined here. But under 9.4, that supplier must be unregistered. Only in that case, RCM will apply. Right? Under 9.5, that ECO, e-commerce operator like Zomato, Swiggy, Oyo will pay the tax here. Okay. The next one is 9.1 normal levy. That GST on the intrastate supply means CGST, SGST or UTGST. Interstate supply, IGST on value as per section number 15 means chapter value of supply collected and paid by the taxable person. So what do you mean by the taxable person? It means person who is registered and who is liable to register under GST. Right? Okay. Now, some important terms. What do you mean by the supplier? Supplier means a person supplying the goods, services or both. It includes the agent also. Now, this is important. What do you mean by recipient of goods and services? It means whether you have to check whether consideration is payable. If there is consideration is payable, then that person is liable to pay the consideration. Sometime what happened that a company employees getting training. That company organized training for its employees and that employees getting training from other person. Right. In the given case, those employees are taking those services, but that consideration will be paid by the company. So for the purpose of GST, in that case, recipient will be company, not employees. If there is consideration payable, then you have to check. Who is paying the consideration. Means company paying the consideration. In that case, company will be considered as recipient. Company is recipient here. Where no consideration payable, in that case, person to whom the goods are delivered and services are rendered. Take example for Schedule 1, supply without consideration to own branch to distinct person. This is without consideration. Now, in that case, the person who is receiving the goods and services rendered, that will be recipient here. Shall include the agent acting on the behalf of recipient. Is it clear? Right. The next is reverse charge mechanism. Reverse charge mechanism. Okay, see here. Normally what happen? That supplier pay tax to the government. He collect the tax from the customer and pay to the government. But under RCM, government says to the supplier that you are not our special one. We have not believe on you. You are not our special one. Our special one are those recipient. Okay, so we are putting the liability to pay the tax to us on recipient. So recipient take compulsory registration under the section 24 of GST and pay tax to government. Okay, let's see here. Okay, reverse charge mechanism. So that receiver pay the amount without GST to supplier of goods and services. That recipient will deposit the GST with the government on behalf of supplier, and it must be paid in cash, not using by ITC. Not using by ITC. Is it clear? You have to read about it in chapter of payment of tax also. Okay, now the next one is taxable person. Means a person who is registered and who is liable to register. In case of forward charge, that person making the supply. In case of RCM, that recipient. In case of ECO, 9.5 under the ECO, e-commerce operator. Right? Now 9.3, supply of services taxable under RCM. In that case, that recipient will pay the tax. That goods are not covered for our exam, so we will read only the services here. 9.3 services taxable under the RCM. Right? Okay. See here. So number one is goods transport agency. Goods transport agency providing services to specified person, and those are 3 RCBPC. 3 RCBPC. Registered factory, registered society, cooperative society, any registered person, body corporate, registered and registered partnership firm, AOP, CTP, located in the taxable territory, means in India. Then in that case, those recipient will pay tax under RCM. 3 RCBPC. 3 RCBPC. Is it clear? Now, if recipient is unregistered individual person, customer, then it is exempt. Or if the recipient is department, establishment of the government, local authority or the government agency, taken registration only for the tedious purpose, then in that case it is also exempt. It is also exempt. Right? Okay. Now that GTA get 2 option. By default option is RCM option. By default option is RCM option. Means that specified person, that 3 RCBPC will pay tax under RCM at a rate of 5%. But that GT has option for the FCM also. Again, there are 2 options, 5% without ITC and 12% with ITC. Right? There is condition for opting the FCM. That is, GT has to take compulsory registration under GST for that. Right? Issue the tax invoice and make declaration on such invoice about it. Now, the second thing is note that recipient should be person who is liable to pay the freight. Okay. When RCM apply, when that recipient who is paying the amount, who is paying the freight is covered under the 3 RCBPC. 3 RCBPC. You have to check who is paying the freight. Okay. That person paying the freight if covered under 3 RCBPC, only in that case RCM will apply. Right? Okay. The next is renting of motor vehicle. Under GST for RCM purpose, 3% get option to pay tax under FCM also. Number 1 is GTA. Number 2 is renting of motor vehicle for passenger. Also include the fuel cost. Number 3 is author. these 3% get the option to pay tax under FCM also. Okay, so now we are talking about the renting of motor vehicle for passengers. For passenger, also pay the fuel cost. Also pay the fuel cost. Now, provided by the other than body corporate like individual and HUF to a body corporate, then RCM will apply to body corporate. Then RCM will apply. That body corporate tax pay the tax under the RCM. Is it clear? Right. Reliance Industries Limited. Okay. Again, they get the option to pay tax under FCM also. So let's analyze this. That provided by the body corporate, then FCM will apply. Okay. When RCM come, if provided by the other than body corporate like individual HUF, then RCM will come. If it is provided by the body corporate itself, then it come under FCM, not RCM. The second thing is provided by the other than body corporate. Okay. Provided to other than body corporate like individual HUF, then again FCM will apply. Yes. If provided to body corporate, then RCM will apply. Again, there are two options. Either by default is RCM, that body corporate will pay tax under the RCM rate of 5%. But that car owner, that motor vehicle owner pay tax under the FCM at rate of 12%. Okay. The same is covered under our smart book. Okay. The same is covered under our smart book. Right. Now, there is clarification. This distinction between the renting of motor vehicle designed to carry the passenger, then RCM will apply, and the service of transportation of passengers, then no RCM. What it means? It means RCM apply when the company hires a bus on rent for the transportation of employees, not when company buy the ticket. Okay. If you buy the ticket for a fixed route, then no RCM will apply. No RCM will apply. Okay. This is transportation services. Okay. This is not renting a motor vehicle. If you are buying a ticket for a fixed route, it is service of transportation. It is not renting of motor vehicle. Then RCM will not apply. Either it is the company, that recipient, that body corporate, no matter. RCM will not apply. This is the recent qualification about it. Now, that legal sector. Let's understand with animation what it says. Legal services by a advocate, senior advocate and the firm of advocate to a business entity. Then that business entity will pay tax under the RCM. Again, there is some exemption that we will read under chapter of exemption. Okay. If that business entity turnover is less than 20 lakh or 10 lakh or 40 lakh, that threshold limit, then in that case it is exempt. Okay. If received by the government, then also exempt. That we will read under chapter of exemption in that. Okay, no problem. The next is again, what do you mean by the legal services? Means advice, consultancy, assistance in any breach of law, and representation services like representing in front of court. Right. The next is tribunal services. Okay, see here. By the arbitral tribunal, it has same treatment like advocate. Same treatment like advocate and same exemption will apply here. Okay, to a body business entity and RCM will apply. Again, the next is insurance services. So, here is insurance agent. He do the insurance of a customer. Working as a agent for the insurance company. It can be life insurance company. It can be general insurance company. It can be LIC. It can be GIC. Like for motor vehicles, anyone. Doesn't matter. That agent is getting commission. So on the commission part, GST will be paid by the insurance business under the RCM. Right? Again, recovery agent and the direct selling agent. Recovering agent and the direct selling agent. Recovery agent, providing services to bank NBFC and the financial institution for recovery, then RCM will apply. That bank, NBFC and the financial institution will pay tax under RCM. The next is DSA. Remember, it must be individual. It must be individual DSA, providing to the bank and the NBFC. That financial institution is not covered here. That DSA must be individual and the financial institution is not covered here. If this happen, then यहाँ RCM will apply. Is it clear? Okay. Let's see. The same is covered under of smart book. This is insurance and banking sector. Now, the next is overseeing committee. Overseeing committee. That RBI's overseeing committee. Member of overseeing committee providing service to RBI. Then in that case, that RBI will pay tax under the RCM. Okay. The next is business facilitator and the agent of business correspondent. Now the question arises, what do you mean by the business facilitator and the business correspondent? Let's see here. Objective of the business correspondent and the business facilitator. So these are the work performed by them. You can take the screenshot for this and read this later on. Okay. Now understand. What do you mean by the business facilitator means BF and the business correspondent means BC? Means a bank की छोटी branch in village. In English you can call it bank small branch. Bank's small branch in village. Bank small branch in village. Right? So both are bank small branch in village. Now understand difference between BF and the BC. What is difference between two? Now, what RBI says about this? According to RBI, that BC are permitted to carry out the transaction on behalf of the bank as agent. Okay, but it means that BC are the like small bank in village. But that BF means business facilitator can refer the clients, pursue the clients, but cannot transact on behalf of bank. So it's just like DSA, direct selling agent. Its power is limited. Okay, so it's treatment like DSA. Business facilitator treatment like DSA. It has limited power like DSA. But business correspondent is like small bank branch in the village. It is considered as a bank itself. Okay, now see here. Service by the business facilitator to banking company in taxable territory. It is just like a DSA because it has limited power. Then RCM will apply, that bank pay tax under the RCM. And there is any agent of business facilitator, then FCM will apply. So what it means that BF has no liability in either case. Okay, it's just like a DSA means a small person. Okay, so no liability in the either case. The next is we are talking about the agent because that business correspondent is like a small bank branch in the village. Okay, here we are talking about the agent of business correspondent providing services to business correspondent, then RCM will apply. Okay, but that business correspondent providing services to bank, then FCM will apply. Means liability in the both case because it is like a bank itself. It is like a bank itself. I hope you understood this. Now the next is government sector. Let's see with the animation again. Service by the government. CG, SG, LA, court and the tribunal to any business entity except Pati services. Again, here are some exemption that we will read under chapter of exemption by connecting this again. Don't worry for that. Right? Now, again, service by the government to a registered person for the immovable property, then RCM will apply. So here's a clarification that you must read. Right. Note, service by the court. As we know that service by the court and the tribunal are covered under the Schedule 3. This covered under the negative list. We know that it is not supply. However, RCM apply to the above limited purpose. Means renting of premise to telecom company for tower. They are providing their court services like listing the cases. This is covered under Schedule 3. Not supply. But like renting of premise, that court premise to the telecom company for towers or renting of chambers to lawyers, then RCM will apply. Then RCM will apply. Right? Okay. Construction services. देखिएगा. Now, transfer of development rights or FSI for construction or long-term lease of land for 30 years. This is simple. Like any person providing a transfer of development rights to promoter, then RCM will apply. Or long-term lease for the 30 years, then promoter will pay tax under the RCM. Now by unorganized sector to organized sector. See here. This is ICAI favorite. This is ICAI favorite. ICAI mostly asks this in exam in questions. So we are talking about the sponsorship services by any person. Like in our example here, KBC providing these services. It can be any person. It can be any person. It is supplier. Now, who is the recipient? The recipient is Byju's and the complainant. Any body corporate or partnership firm is also covered here. Remember this. Here partnership firm is also covered. Right? Body corporate or partnership firm. Supplier is anyone and recipient is body corporate or partnership firm. Then RCM will apply. Then RCM will apply. In that case, that Byju's and the complainant will pay tax under the RCM. This is ICAI favorite. Okay? Right. Now, the next one is director services. Service by the director to company, then tax paid by the company under RCM. Now, see here, analysis. That remuneration declared as tedious under the section number 192 means that director is acting as the employee. Acting as the employee is not supply covered under Schedule 3, no GST on it. If the remuneration declared as other than 192 means 194J, he is working as a professional, then it is supply and taxable under the RCM, tax paid by the company under the RCM. Is it clear? Right. Now, see here, the next one is security services of the personnel. Of the personnel, not of the dog, not of the CCTV cameras, for the personnel. Right? By any person other than body corporate to register person, then RCM will apply. Except डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, LA, गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी या फिर कंपोजिशन रजिस्टर पर्सन, these are registered for the TDS purpose, then it is not covered under RCM. Here FCM will apply. Right? Okay. The next is other service sector. Let's cover it quickly. Copyright relating to original work. Now see here. Again, author providing services to publisher. Music composer providing to music company. Photographer and the artist providing to producer and like. Then that recipient will pay tax under the RCM. Again, that author will get chance to pay tax under FCM. So, to ACP AA, to ACP, to ACP, to learn this. Okay. Now see here. That author get option to tax pay under the FCM subject to these conditions. This is most important. Also asked in RTP by the ICAI. The author has to take registration and file a declaration. Not withdraw the option for 1 year and make declaration on the invoice also. So fulfill this condition and take FCM option for the author only. For the author, for the renting of motor vehicle, for passengers along the petrol fuel fees and the GTA. These 3% get option to pay tax under FCM also. Now, the next one is renting of residential dwelling by any person to a registered person. Then RCM will come. That registered person pay tax under the RCM. Let's analyze this with this analysis chart. Okay, see here. Okay, now see here. Any person renting a commercial property, then it is taxable under the FCM. Either that recipient is registered, unregistered, it is taxable under the FCM. It is commercial property. Now it is a residential property. That recipient is registered or unregistered. If recipient is unregistered, it is exempt. That way you will read in the chapter of exemption under GST. If that recipient is registered under GST, now taking it for the business purpose like a company for its employees, then RCM will apply. If the recipient is proprietor, taking it for the personal purpose, then it is exempt. Okay, it is exempt. Taking for the business purpose, residential property by registered person, then RCM will apply. Okay, remember this. You can take a screenshot of this chart also. Okay. Now, the next is, okay, RCM is not applicable when residential dwelling is used by the proprietor as its residence. It is exempt. RCM apply only in the use for the business purpose and registered person. Then RCM will apply. Right? The next is lending of the securities. Lender lends securities to clearing agent of stock exchange. Now stock exchange agent will give it to rent on to the borrower, and borrower will pay lending fees. It is taxable under the RCM. Okay, this is taxable under FCM, but that amount, that lending fees paid by the borrower is taxable under the RCM. That borrower will tax pay under the RCM in that case. Right? Now, any supply of goods, services, that location of supplier in India. Supplier in India and its POS means place of supply is outside India, means export. This is interstate supply. Supply of services imported in India means import means interstate supply. So both of these are interstate supply under the GST. So these are two additional RCM services that is taxable under the RCM under the IGST. It is given. Let's understand this with animation again. Any services, any person in the non-taxable territories like Netflix services taken by the any person in the taxable territory other than NTOR, then RCM will apply. So what do you mean by the NTOR? There is recent amendment in the definition of NTOR. Earlier it was unregistered person or CGSGLA individual in the taxable territory receiving the order services for the non-business purpose. But this is amended now. Now the new definition is that unregistered person receiving the order services in India for the any purpose. Earlier it was for the non-business purpose. Now it is for the any purpose. For business purpose, for non-business purpose. Just like I am taking the service of Google Drive services and ad services, Google ad services, I am not registered, taking for the business purpose, then यहाँ पे taxable under the FCM. Okay, here let's see this chart, then you can get better understanding of this. See here, first example is service supplier is architect supplying the service of architecture to Shivam Nagpal classes, that is registered under GST. GST is levied. Yes, this is import of services. IGST will be levied. So taxable under RCM. Right. Now, architect services provided to Mr. A for the purpose of personal purpose, an individual, then it is exempt. Okay. Any services received by the individual other than OIDAR, then it is exempt. You will study it in the chapter of exemption. Any services, import of services other than OIDAR by an individual for its personal purpose, it is exempt. Now, Netflix services, it is OIDAR services received by Mr. A for the personal purpose. Yes, this is taxable, but under FCM because it is covered under the NTOR. Now, what is the amendment? Consider Mr. B taking it for the business purpose and unregistered. Taking it for the business purpose and he is unregistered. Then again, FCM will apply. That Netflix pay tax under the FCM. Okay. Netflix service taken by the Reliance Limited. Yes, RCM will apply. Okay. Either OIDAR services, either other services taken by the registered person, then RCM will apply. Okay. If services other than OIDAR taken by the individual, it is exempt, and service of OIDAR taken by the individual or unregistered person taken for the business purpose means NTOR, then yes, taxable, but taxable under FCM. Okay, you can take screenshot of this chart also. Still, if you have any doubt, you can comment below this video. I will reply you. Okay. Now, the next is some special points. But it says that LLP will be included in the partnership firm. Okay, that body corporate include the company incorporated outside India, but exclude the registered cooperative society. Now, revise this quickly by diagram under 9.3 RCM. So, diagram by D, director, that company will pay tax under the RCM. If director TDS is deducting under the 194J, not 192, then in that case, that company will pay tax under the RCM. Development rights, floor space index, and the long-term lease by any person to promoter. In that case, that promoter will pay tax under the RCM. Direct selling agent must be individual to bank and the NBFC, then RCM will apply. Okay, insurance agent to insurance company, insurance business, either life insurance, either general insurance, RCM will apply. Immoral property renting by the government to a registered person, RCM will apply. Advocate, senior advocate, or arbitral tribunal to business entity, then RCM will apply. By author to publisher, RCM will apply. Also, he get option to pay tax under FCM. Again, by GTA to 3 RCBPC, then in that case, RCM will apply. Also, GTA get option to pay tax under FCM 12% and 5%. By government services to business entity, RCM will apply. By recovery agent to bank, NBFC, and the financial institution, RCM will apply. Renting of motor vehicle must be for passenger. Also include the fuel cost by the other than body corporate to body corporate, then RCM will apply. Renting of residential dwelling by any person to registered person, RCM will apply. Agent of the business correspondent, then tax paid by the business correspondent. And business facilitator, it is just like a DSA, then bank will be tax under RCM. Music composer, photographer, artist, then that producer and like pay tax under RCM. Member of overseeing committee, RBB will pay tax under RCM. Service of sponsorship services by any person to body corporate and partnership firm, and firm also include the LLP. Tax paid by the recipient under RCM. Security services other than body corporate to registered person, RCM will apply. Security lending services, tax paid by the borrower under the RCM. Complete, done. Now, 9.4. This is not so important. You can just read it or left it. Okay. Now, come to here. notified services, promoter has to pay tax under RCM. Okay, on cement always applicable rate. On capital goods, RCM rate of 28%. But for the other goods and services that purchase from the registered person is less than 80%. What it means? He must have to purchase the 80% material from the registered person. Take example, if he purchase 70% from the registered person, then on the 10% portion he have to pay tax under the RCM. But this 80% or 90% is not include the TDR, FSI, electricity and 5 petroleum product. This is allowed. Okay. Now, electronic commerce operator, ECO. Oh, we have ignored one assumption also. Right here. We have wrongly ignored this. There is one RCM also. This one, transportation of goods. Okay. See here. Transportation of goods by the vessel from outside India to custom station by any person in non-taxable territory to any importer, then RCM will apply. Right? This is simple, but we'll only forget it. Okay. Now see here. Now ECO. So e-commerce operator, ECO, like Zomato, Ola, Oreo and the Urban Club. So THAR, THAR, THAR. Okay. What it means? What ECO means? Means any person who owns, operate, manage digital electronic facility or platform for the electronic commerce. You have to cram this definition. Okay. Now, GST payable by the ECO. In case of THAR, this is notified services for 9.5. In that case, that ECO will pay tax under the, this is not RCM, by himself on behalf of supplier. Okay. In other cases, that ECO collect the TCS like Amazon. Now, THAR, passenger transportation, always ECO will pay tax like Ola and the Uber, radio taxi, motor cab, maxi cab, motorcycle like Rapido and omnibus and the other motor vehicle. In that case, always that tax paid by the ECO on behalf of supplier. Okay, it is not RCM. That ECO is not customer, not recipient, but paying tax on behalf of supplier. THAR, by H, housekeeping services, by A, hotel accommodation services and lodging purpose, and by R, restaurant services. But in these cases, there are 3 exceptions. In case of hotel, except supplier liable to register, then in that case, that hotel will pay tax, not ECO. Except supplier liable to register, then in that case, that plumber will pay tax under the FCM, not by ECO. Okay. In the last case, that restaurant services, except to the specified premises. What it means where the hotel accommodation tariff is more than 75%, means it's a big hotel. Then in that case, that hotel himself will pay tax under FCM to government, not by ECO. Okay. Any services supplied to ECO is considered in the turnover of the supplier. Now, who will pay tax? If ECO is in India, then ECO will pay tax. If ECO is not a physical person in India, then person representing ECO liable to pay tax. If ECO not having a physical presence and not any person in India, then it has to appoint a person to pay the GST. This is also important, maybe asking an exam. Some clarification. Supply through ECO under 9.5 is not RCM, is not inward supply for the ECO. Okay, it is paying tax on the behalf of supplier to the government. It cannot use its ITC, it must be paid in cash. Okay, if ECO supplying some services on which TCS liability and on which 9.5 liability, then it's better to bill it separately. Okay, in that case, ECO will bill tax. In that case, ECO collect TCS of that supplier. Okay.